Hello and thank you much for joining us. You're watching Addis News Hour and these are the day's news. We begin by wishing all Christians a happy Christmas holiday. The birthday of Jesus Christ is being celebrated in the monastery of Saint Lalibela, Rock-Hewn churches. The ancient and historic city of Lalibela is celebrating its twin festival, Christmas, and its liberation from TPLF terrorists. Thus, the town is celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ with great pomp and peace. The festival has been in full swing in the town since early morning. President Sahle-Work Zewde, popes and other dignitaries are attending the ceremony. A large number of the faithful, visitors and Ethiopian diaspora have been gathered around Lalibela's Rock-Hewn churches since Tuesday. To tell us more on this, our staff reporter Sintayo Tamirat, who is present at Lalibela, joins us live to tell us more about the vibe of Genna celebration happening there. A very good day to you, Sintayo, and happy holiday.
Happy holiday for you as well, Tabitha.
Please begin by telling us the general vibe of the celebrations there.
Okay, here at Lalibela, Genna, as usual, has been just celebrated quite colorfully, and there have been just thousands of pilgrims that have been coming and gathering here in the church and around the church. And there have also been senior government officials, including Sahle-Work Zewde, Ethiopian president, and other ministers, as well as the Ethiopian diaspora community, local and foreign tourists, and also global and local media have been here. And the Eve of Genna here at Lalibela started here at the 12th century built Rock-Hewn Church of St. Lalibela at 9 p.m. yesterday in the evening. And after 6 hours, at about 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, the liturgy was finished, and all the night was being performed with deaconess, priestess, and the congregate with active songs and also some dances and prayers, as well as preachers. And during the morning, the most awaited ceremony, which is Bezalekulu, which means God was born to save the world, was performed in the presence of the congregation, tens of thousands of congregation, and it was quite amazing, quite astonishing. And people whom I interviewed so far told me that it was a very mesmerizing event of all the Genna ceremony here at Lalibela. And though as you see, the main event here in the church of Lalibela was completed. However, the congregate, particularly the congregation, is celebrating it in the rest of Christmas here at Lalibela with different events.
All right, Sintayo. A large number of guests, including diaspora and friends of Ethiopia, are in attendance of the celebration. What roles do you think this will have in nation building, rehabilitation, and national unity?
Okay, you know that Lalibela has been in the hands of the TPLF for 4 or 5 months so far, and the TPLF has made just some destruction, and the people were just much too worried, and the global media has been just propagating this as if some bad happened to the entire Ethiopia. But after the Lalibela was liberated by the Ethiopian allied forces, the city has been quite peaceful now. And the presence of the diaspora, the presence of Ethiopian president and senior government officials, as well as the global tourists and media here, might mean a lot to this country, particularly for those media that disinform and misinform about the country, as well as those embassies and the governments that were just misinforming the global community about the situation in Ethiopia, particularly in Addis Ababa, as if some terror might happen to the capital, Ethiopia, might mean a lot, this event, I mean, because this Lalibela is some 700 kilometers away from Addis Ababa, and places like these are quite safe and peaceful. So it means a lot to the global community that Ethiopia nowadays is, just currently quite safe, peaceful, and secured.
All right, Santayo Tamrat joining us live from Lalibela. Thank you very much for your vivid descriptions. Have a good day. We'll keep in touch. Religious leaders from all denominations of Ethiopia have extended happy celebrations to the faithful who are keen to support the needy in troubled times. They said Ethiopians need to stand together for the peace and unity of their country. Patriarch of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, His Holiness Abune Matthias, indicated all the followers are duty-bound to consider the displaced persons in the affected areas of the country. Archbishop of the Ethiopian Catholic Church, Cardinal Birhane Yesus Surafil, for his part, said, "It is a value of Christianity to share sorrows and grievances of fellow citizens in their hard time." Secretary General of the Ethiopian Evangelical Fellowship, Consul Priest Dereje Jamberu, also highlighted that living an exemplary life is expected from Christians, even to be open and willing for reconciliations, irrespective of the atrocities committed against them.
ለማለት እወዳለሁ። የእግዚአብሔር ልጅ ኢየሱስ ክርስቶስ
ሁኔታ ውስጥ ብንሆን የኛ የአማኞች የክርስቲያኖች ምርጫ ይቅርታ፣ እርቅ፣ ፍቅር፣ ሰላም መሆናቸውን መዘንጋት የለብንም። ትምህርቱ ክፉን በመልካም አሸንፍ እንጂ በክፉ አትሸነፍ። ወንድሙ
Happy celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ to all Ethiopians concerned with the spiritual phenomenon which is unique to Christians. Christians will celebrate this year's birthday when more suffering is over, much problems are solved, and the source of suffering is drying up, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said. Daniel Kasahun tells you more on this.
It's a holiday that Christians celebrate, leaving their problems behind and looking beyond their hopes. The birth of Christ is the beginning of a new hope and the beginning of a bright time. The fact that the time of passing is the remark, the time of suffering is coming, the darkness is defeated by light, the prison of sin is over and freedom is near. The time before the birth of Lord Jesus Christ was a year of Old Testament. Those days where man was cursed and expelled from heaven because of what he did was forbidden by the Creator, were full of darkness. The birth of human being started by conception. It was finished by birth. It was finished on crucifixion, and it was finished by resurrection. Every chapter was passed with trials and happiness. The birth of Christ didn't tell us that the time of forgiveness is near, but that everything is finished. Adam faced many ups and downs until the day of crucifixion reached and was freed from the bondage of the devil and the yoke of sin. Herod's proclamation of death was exile, distress, hunger, thirst, There was no stone that our enemy, the devil, didn't remove Adam from his grave to his crucifixion to cut him off from his creator. He has made destroy the name of Christ by spreading lies. Many have threatened his followers not to go to Christ. They have said, leave those who come to Christ. They have even betrayed the apostles with money. Foreign enemies, Romans, internal traitors, united with Jews and persecuted Christ. Ethiopia's enemies have struggled for years to suppress our hopes that is about to be born. They tried to kidnap him when he was conceived. There is no atrocity that they didn't commit when they knew they were born. They have been creating conflicts and causing conflicts between people, displacing innocent people wherever they go, torturing and killing whomever they found them, children to old. Our suffering has been seen so much that it seems that the time for our country's salvation will never come. Absurdists like heroes have fought with all their strength to darken our bright future. They have joined forces to destroy our unity. They have sworn to destroy our country and go down to hell. Ethiopia has gone through all those hardships and reached here. The impregnated seed of change is being born and growing. Ethiopia is building bridges with the stones thrown at her. No one can stop her from going to fulfill her hopes. It's said that two of the most important days in a man's life are the days he was born and the days he found out why he was born. We are all not created without a purpose. What we call you is because our ancestors thought about you, or because they know why they were born. Thinking that we were born Ethiopian is not without a reason. We have to do something that will free our country from dependency, that will free our people from the cycle of poverty, that will lead Ethiopia to prosperity, that will make Ethiopia ignore herself in everything and pass. There is no better time for this than now. We are in a time where we build a mirror that can be passed down from generation to generation, and a history that can be told proudly is written. Ethiopia's day is about to break the darkness. She is struggling with the darkness to shine. In this critical time, if we all do what we can, Ethiopia's future will be bright without a doubt.
The town. I've never even heard of that town before I got here. And she was like, okay, let's check out this town. The only problem was that this town was 12 hours away from Addis by road. And this landed in Gonda town. He told us about a place called Simeon's Mountains, and boy, this place is another thing on its own.
The name of this place is called Buitras. We are very close to the highest lodge in Africa.
Hey guys, just got to the restaurant now. Oh, he's writing VIP. Yeah. So guys, he's writing VIP on this mix. VIP. Yes. Guys, this is raw meat. Raw meat.
Welcome back. Scholars from Kenya and Somalia said no more interference on the African continent. The scholars lauded Ethiopia for battling the proxy war waged by the US and Western world against its people. Goshu Melliso reports.
Former Deputy Speaker of Kenyan Parliament and political analyst from Somali arrived in Addis Ababa to show solidarity to Ethiopia on the current situation. They said African issues should be tackled by Africans, therefore no more interference on the African continent.
In the need for Africa to have its own emancipation, we do not want African issues to be tackled and to be determined in other capitals, like the Western capitals and the American capital. So we are saying no more interference in the internal affairs of the African continent.
Africa today is under attack. From Somalia to Senegal, from Cape Town to Tunis, people are saying no more new colonization of Africa. We're here in solidarity with Ethiopian people. We are here in solidarity with the government of Ethiopia.
Saying Ethiopia had played prominent role in freeing the African continent from colonialism, Maalim stressed Africa should exploit its untapped and undiluted resources.
Ethiopia has led the way in freeing the African people from the colonial mindset of not trusting decisions and only trusting in decisions that are made in other capitals. We have sufficient resources, both human and natural resources, in our own continent, which is untapped, which is undiluted. It is time we take charge of our own affairs.
Researcher and political analyst Abdi Wahab said Ethiopia is battling the proxy war waged by the US and Western world against the people of Ethiopia.
What is going on right now here is a proxy war between the Western world and the people of Ethiopia. It's a proxy war between the United States of America and the European Union against the people of Ethiopia, using through what they call TPLF, or Tigray Liberation Front. All in all, we are hoping, and we are very hopeful, Ethiopia will be a peaceful place, will be the destination of Africa. All African, people will be the destination, will be here in Ethiopia.
Prime Minister Abiy ignited a new light for the African countries to come together and galvanize it from each corner, Maalim said.
With this new light for Africa, we have a new light for the continent. And thank God, Dr. Abiy has decided he was going to do it, whatever the risks notwithstanding. And I'm sure the continent is going to come. There's going to be fires in the continent from one end to the other end, from West Africa to Southern Africa, to the Horn of Africa, to the North Africa. All of them are going to come out and say no more.
Abdi Wahab Sheikh, for his part, said Africa is awakened and saying no more the Westers.
If you look at West Africa, whereby Francophone countries, the people colonized by France itself, people right now are demonstrating on the streets, saying that no more. Africa is awake. It's not like 1960s or 1970s.
Scholars called upon it is high time that Africans stand together and say no more neocolonialism.
The Ghanaian model and medical doctor who has a special love for Ethiopia arrived in Addis Ababa on Wednesday. This is following a call from the government of Ethiopia to its friends of Ethiopia. She has a plan to celebrate Genna in Lalibela and Timkat in Gondar. Johannes Fentahun was there at the reception and brings us the following story.
On the 9th week of Ghana's most beautiful pageant, contestants were given the privilege to talk about the topic One Africa. Each of these contestants did their selection based on their choice and interest. Last year's Ghana's most beautiful had taken different grounds, where the contestants were changing their style of performance every week.
We are one Africa, and our cultures unite us as one people. Just like the Ethiopian Kebero drum, I came in playing the Ghanaian dondo to represent the unity in Africa. we can never talk about unity without talking about Ethiopia. Two great men, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and the Emperor Haile Selassie I, were very instrumental in the formation of the Organization of African Unity, now known as the African Union. These two understood that together we stand, divided we fall.
One of the contestants won the most eloquent performer of that night. Dr. Setor chooses to talk about Ethiopia and its culture. The Volta regional representative of Ghana's Most Beautiful 2021, Setor Abran Orgube, is 28 years old medical doctor from the Volta region. She said the following at the reception of Bole International Airport.
I don't even know what to say. I'm the land of origins to see for myself firsthand. So my name is Dr. Setor. Full name Dr. Setor Abran Orgube. I'm the first runner-up of Ghana's Most Beautiful and I am a medical doctor. I'm here today to visit Ethiopia, the land of origins. I participated in the Ghana's Most Beautiful pageant, and in the week of One Africa, I represented the land of origins, Ethiopia, in the One Africa. And it was amazing how Ethiopians were very excited about what I did. I just came over so I could see firsthand all the things I talked about, all the tall, beautiful tall sides, like Bella, Gondad, and also to celebrate Gena and see firsthand the Timket festival. So I am here to actually celebrate with Ethiopians, to celebrate with my brothers and sisters from Ethiopia. I'm excited to be home.
On the 2021 Ghana's Most Beautiful Award competition, 16 contestants from 16 regions of Ghana were participated and expected to make a speech about Pan-Africanism. And Dr. Setor didn't hesitate to choose to make her speech about Ethiopia. The very reason for her choice is that the state of Ethiopia being a unifying factor for Africans.
Ethiopia is the only country in Africa that has never been colonized. It means you have set a pace for us to all follow as other countries in Africa. It means you're a leader, you're the first, you're ahead of us because you have not been colonized. You've been able to defeat the foreign world, and that is an amazing thing. It is the heart of unity also because, like I said, the seat of the African Union sits here. Like it rightly says, African Union, unity. So definitely it's the heart of the unity of Africa. If the whole head office of the African Union sits here, then where else can we look for unity if we don't start from Ethiopia? So we can't talk about unity of Africa without talking about Ethiopia. That's impossible.
Dr. Setor, who thinks that Ethiopia's anti-colonial stand has created a great upheaval for Africans and that Africans still need to set an example of Ethiopia, urged all Africans to stand with Ethiopia at this time. She also stressed the need for all Africans to support Ethiopia for a united and prosperous Africa.
This is the heart of unity, and once the heart of unity has been destroyed, there's no Africa, because Africa is then destroyed. So yes, brothers and sisters should stand with Ethiopia in times like this, and vice versa. Ethiopia stand with other countries in times where they need it the most, where there's turmoil.
Finally, Setor said the following message for Ethiopians.
Coming down from the airport, I've seen that they are very amazing people. So we should keep projecting Ethiopia as the beautiful country that it is. The only country that has never been colonized before, a very beautiful one, and the seat of the African Union. You know what that means? Ethiopia is the heart of the unity of Africa. So I just have to say, I love Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a very beautiful country with an amazing, lovely people, amazing love. So we should continue projecting that and do not be suppressed. That is my message for Ethiopia.
Setor Norgubi is the founder and CEO of a young initiative that aims to involve young people in social issues as well as cultivate their talents.
In business news, East Africa Star Business and Kolfik Aranyo Subcity stated that they are providing goats for holiday slaughter from Borana pastoralist for Addis Ababa residents at a fair price to stabilize the market. The subcity is also working to supply product of farmers and pastoralists from across the country for Addis Ababa residents. Shaggaw Yematao has more.
Over 500 goats from Borana are supplied for Christmas holiday in Kolfik Aranyo subcity in Addis Ababa by East Africa Star Business Company. The goats are presented for dwellers up to 4,000 birr discount from market price. According to the chief executive officer of the company, Dereje Mamoye, both pastoralists and buyers are beneficiaries.
Firstly, in terms of health, the goats grow eating organic herbs, which themselves are organic for the users. Secondly, in terms of money, the goats cost from 8,000 to 10,000 birr, which has up to 4,000 birr discount from the normal market. When our society gets advantage, then we are profitable.
Jamal Radi, chief executive officer of Kolfe Qaranio Subcity, on his part said they are working so that products from farmers and pastoralists across the country is directly accessible for users.
The residents of Addis Ababa are not mainly producers, they are rather buyers. There was a problem of quality and price in buying animals for slaughter in the previous holidays. However, in this market center, there is a significant stability in the price and quality of animals.
Buyers available at the market center said that the provision of goats has to be expanded to other cities in Addis Ababa.
The price is fair and the goats are healthy, but there's no broker for selling the goats. It needs to be promoted to other parts of the city, and I say this has to be continued in various ways.
The company has noted that it will directly supply basic consumption products from producers to buyers to prevent inflation in the future.
ካፍን ከመሰረቱ አራት ሀገሮች የመጀመሪያውን የአፍሪካ ዋንጫ ካካሄዱት 3 ሀገሮች አንዷ ነች ኢትዮጵያ፣ ግብጽና ሱዳን ጋር። ይህን ታሪክ ያላት ሀገር ከዚህ መድረክ ርቃ 31 ዓመት ቆየች። 31 ዓመቱ ደግሞ የቆጠረ ሄዶ ይህ ጄኔሬሽን እነዚህ የሚታዩት አንበሶች በ8ኛው ዓመት ማርከው
እድለኛ ተጫዋች ነኝ። ያው ሁለተኛ ታልፍ ያው 3 ተጫዋች ነው ያለው። አንዱ እኔ ነኝ፣ ጌታነህ ሽመልስና እኔ ነኝ።
ትንሽ ራቅ ብለን ነበር የገባነው ከ31 ዓመት በኋላ ነው እና ተሳትፏችንም በጣም ሩቅ ጊዜ ስለሆነ ልምዱንም ለማግኘት ነበር።
ሚዛኔ አዲስ ነበር ለዛ ውድድር ማለት ነው። አሁን የምናውቀው ልጆች አለን፣ ያለን ልምድ እናካፍላቸዋለን። ይሄኛው ቡድን አሪፍ ቡድን ነው፣ የተሻለ ነገር እንሰራለን ብዬ አስባለሁ።
በውድድሩ ሰርፕራይዚንግ ቲም ልንሆን እንደምንችል ኤክስፔክት አደርጋለሁ። ጥሩ ነገር እንደሚኖር ተስፋ አደርጋለሁ።
ኢትዮጵያኖች የምንችለው ነው ልንነግራችሁ እንችላለን። በፉትቦል ተታዘቡኛላችሁ። ትንሽ ነገር ልትቀረችሁ አግዛታችሁ እናንተ you are better than anybody.
And finally, Ganna is the oldest game practiced in Ethiopia. It has been practiced for centuries. However, the exact history and the time of creation are not known. There are two legends that may indicate that the sport was invented in the 1st century AD. It is noteworthy that in the 1st century, games similar to hockey were very popular. People have been playing games such as pelota purepecha in Mexico or hurling in Ireland. Take a look at the story.
Every team has at least 7 but not more than 10 players. One of them is a goalkeeper. Players can be replaced at any time by somebody from up to 5 people waiting on the bench. The tennis-sized ball is made of tree roots and decorated so its colors improve its visibility. The stick, on the other hand, is made of eucalyptus branch and rounded at the end.
Serious harm to players if you accidentally hit them with it instead of the ball.
It is slightly longer than the player's shoulder. Playing field is 300 meters long and 200 meters wide. To get a point, players need to hit the ball to the opponent's goal.
Of 10 players and matches are split into two 30-minute.
At the beginning, two players from different teams face each other in the middle of the field. They contact their sticks 3 times and then fight over a ball. Game is divided into two 30-minute halves.
Possible to move the cattle away. So that's another hazard to be aware of when playing this game. The size of the field means that players can get tired fairly quickly. So, you have to be very fit.
There is also a 10-minute break after the first 30 minutes. In the event of a tie, there is a 20-minute overtime.
Western Tigers, captain of the...
You're watching Addis News Hour. A quick reminder of the day's headline. Ethiopian Christmas or Ganna is being celebrated at St. Lalibela Rock-hewn churches. And that's all we had for now. I'm Tabitha Germany. Thanks for watching. For all Christians out there, Merry Christmas and have a good
Hello and welcome, I'm Tafra Gadamu. The call for the restitution of Ethiopian objects of immense historical significance, now primarily in the hands of private collectors and museums in Western Europe and North America, is gaining momentum. And the role of the Ethiopian diaspora along that line is said to be very critical. My guest today, Dr. Yohannes Zeleke, is one of those individuals playing that role. Dr. Yohannes Zeleke, a very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's my second time to be with you.
There have been plenty of developments in the last several months in terms of the restitution of Ethiopian objects currently owned, as I've said in the intro, by individuals, as well as a number of institutions in Europe and North America. We are just picking the tip of the iceberg. We just, as far as restitution is concerned, we have a long way to go, right?
Absolutely. What happened to Ethiopian heritage? What happened is Ethiopia was a government, Ethiopia was a state, for different reasons. They were moved out from this country by various issues, sometimes with military conquest, sometimes with trading. So it starts from the 7th century, 6th century. A lot of Ethiopian heritage has been moved out of Ethiopia to different places. In the last few years, I've been studying those where they are, and I discovered that there are in 14 European countries and in several American cities, in Canada, in Tokyo, in Japan, in China, and in Scandinavian countries. So this amount of distribution is enormous.
What does it tell you?
It tells us that we Ethiopians never know how much heritage we have, even in the country, and how much heritage we have outside of the country. It is unknown history of Ethiopian heritage around the world. Europeans, due to Ethiopians' unstable conditions, they exploited a lot. Some were moved by diplomats. I know exactly where they are, especially in England, and some of them were moved by travelers, like James Bruce. He took a lot of Ethiopian heritage to Scotland. I saw those in Edinburgh Museum. So they are everywhere. So right now, with the new sentiment of Ethiopianism, a lot of the last 20 years, there is a lot of effort to bring back Ethiopian heritage from outside.
Plenty of efforts, but as far as success is concerned, it's a long way to go.
It's a long way to go because the custodians, they invested a lot in it. Some of the museums, they spend 200 years, 300 years in their as a custodian. So we need to convince them, we need to talk to them, we need to have first the catalogs. On the other hand, the country is not ready a lot as well because we don't have enough place to bring and store them and display them and study them. But still, we need to activate the return of the Ethiopian heritage from outside.
What is the mode of operation like in reclaiming? In getting back these objects? It's not just an Ethiopian initiative. You have partners who are friends of Ethiopia, right?
Yeah, we have partners of friends of Ethiopia. We have the UNESCO. We have the ECOM. Now there is a tendency to bring back heritage from European countries to their original land. So there is a lot of effort. But the problem is those countries who kept them for 200 years, 300 years, they need something, guarantee that the country is ready to accept as well. Our problem is those who are in private hands. In the museums, we know them exactly. We know what is in Vatican. We know what is in Cambridge, University of Cambridge. We know what is in Oxford. But we don't know how many Ethiopian heritage are in the private hands everywhere. Recently, not recently, about 5 years ago, I visited one rich human being American house, and he invited me to see his collections of Ethiopian icons. He has 200 Ethiopian icons, which you don't have them in our museum or at the Ethiopian Studies. So I was talking to him, I was talking to his wife, who is an art historian. She wanted to donate it to the African Art Museum in Washington, D.C. I'm just negotiating if she can donate here to Ethiopia. So it's everywhere.
So we have no clue, that's what you're saying, we have no clue how many are in private collections, right?
Yes, we have no clue at all. The only thing what I know is...
Because they don't display them, they don't sell them, they're just merely in their collection.
Yes, the problem is the value of the items is not recognized much by their children. So if the children doesn't like it, they'll just sell it on auction. That's how we trace them where they are. Otherwise, in most rich people's house, it's their private museum.
Yeah, and passing from one generation
or they donate it to a museum sometimes. Yeah, I saw a lot of collections in California. In fact, I was invited to give a talk on the Egyptian history of the Queen of Sheba. So it was a big argument: who is the Queen of Sheba? What the history? All that items, all that artworks. What I saw was from Ethiopia. It was smuggled from Ethiopia sometimes, probably when the British were here, or it was smuggled by the British Army, individuals who sold them somewhere in America. So it's everywhere.
Once you know where these are, what do you do? I mean, as someone who is heavily engaged in the restitution of Ethiopian objects, wherever they are, what do you, once you know who owns what as far as this heritage, these objects are concerned, what do you do? What are the first steps you take? I mean, you just engage them, you just talk to them, and you say, okay, we in Ethiopia need these objects because they belong to us, and we want to buy them. What is the...
I've been talking to Ethiopian embassies everywhere, and sometimes ago the Ethiopian Ministry of Culture authorized me to be an advisor to the Ethiopian embassy regarding the heritage. So what I do is I engage them talking. I explain them where I write them the original sites where they brought them. Once I see them, I determined where they belong because I was a custodian here at the National Museum as well. So engaging is one. Two, convincing them that not to sell it to anyone. There was a lot of times on auctions, and we convince the property owners not to auction it. If they sell it, we can buy it in best price. So that's how we...
So that you privately, separately deal with them?
Deal with them, yeah. Now there is a National Restitution Committee in Washington, in Addis Ababa, And we established our own small non-profit organization in America to bring back Ethiopian heritage. Recently, I brought...
I understand that you were one course. Tell me about that. How did you manage to get that back?
Well, there is a Greek man who is a Greek Orthodox fellow, a professor at Georgetown University. He just donated it to the church.
The Ethiopian church?
To the Ethiopian church. He said it belongs here. He's an art historian. He's an iconograph. So he told me that if I can determine the age, I looked at it, I see that this is beyond the 16th century. So I said, if you donate it to Ethiopia. He gave us, and I brought it officially, and I gave it, I handed to the Ministry of Culture Restitution Committee.
Sounds like something that's pretty much straightforward. But it is not, is it?
Because this guy is a historian, and he believes that this Orthodox cross belongs to Ethiopia, not to decorate his house. So he just decided to donate us. And it was his generous attitude that brought this to a light for all of us. So now Ethiopians are moving to buy this kind of cross, this kind of heritage all over the world. The diaspora has raised, whenever we need them, they raised money to bring back. So there are a lot of volunteers to pay to bring back Ethiopian heritage.
Many people who own Ethiopian items don't think likewise, don't think the same way. This gentleman...
What I did was, for many, when we established the Restitution Committee in America, I taught for nearly 6 months in Zoom and talking about Ethiopia, the typology of the heritage from the Stone Age to modernity. So what are heritage? It's not only the crosses, it's not only the church items, but all decorative artists, all what's the new terminology, the nations and nationalists, what they are using. All specific, beautiful artworks are heritage. So we start to collect ethnographical materials, we start to collect archaeological materials. There are a lot of archaeological materials everywhere outside of Ethiopia. If you go to University of California, Berkeley, there is a huge collection of fossils, still is not returned. If you go to Paris, at the Natural History Museum, there are a lot of fossils taken in the 1930s from Omo. So it's not only the church objects that are heritage. There are so many heritages of Ethiopia all over the world. If you go to Japan, they have a lot of ethnographical collections of the southern people from everywhere. What we don't have it at the Ethiopian Studies or at the National Museum. So the heritage, when they moved out, we never know why they moved out, but now we became concerned, and we are looking a way to get it back. So we are making an awareness here at the nation, at the national level, at the federal level, that they have to be aware. Now they have renovated the Grand Palace. So we are talking to Russians if they can give us back some of the artifacts that they took after the Adwa War. There are 23,000 Ethiopian relics at the Museum of Anthropology and Ethnography in Russia. So it's everywhere. We don't know even the number. The reason I know the number in Russia was I was the custodian of those Ethiopian items, and I did the inventory myself.
So when you say we, you're talking about the Ethiopian diaspora primarily?
Yeah, the Ethiopian diaspora.
How engaged are they? Because
I'm just educating them. We have an association of Ethiopian scholars and professionals. We have an association of Ethiopiawinet, that's what it's called, Ethiopianism. So all these associations are taking lectures from me, and I'm engaging them. There are over 600, 700 professors all over the United States who are attending our lectures. So we are educating each other.
I'm sure some of them have joined you here in Ethiopia, right? Now?
There are a lot of them are here.
So how engaged are they in terms of convincing their governments, because in most cases they are Ethiopian Americans, Ethiopian English, whatever, you know. So how engaged are they in terms of convincing their governments to be morally responsible in terms of, exploring the moral imperatives of returning these objects back to Ethiopia?
Well,
how successful are they?
You see, the first thing is educating Ethiopians. That's the most important one. Because even Ethiopians, they don't know what their heritages are. In 2000, I remember, I organized a folk life festival about Ethiopia on the mall at Washington, D.C. It was officially opened by President Bush. Then, most of the Ethiopians, they never know that enormous Ethiopian heritages are at the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. I invited the Ministry of Culture, Professor Hirut. I made her visit that museum, and she saw all the collections. How come President Teddy Roosevelt acquired all these objects? I just discovered that he visited Egypt, and he got it from Egypt. The Egyptians gave it to him. These are Ethiopian heritage, and as a good gesture to American president. So it's the president's collection. Now we are talking to the Smithsonian if they can give us a part of it.